In this video, we will take you through the first step of getting a scuba certification. For all the techies and the busy folks out there, you might not really have a relaxed vacation time to get the basics right over 4 days and then go exploring with scuba. Hence, Bangalore Scuba has a plan where they teach the basics and get you in good diving shape in a pool over the weekend. And once that is done, you just have to complete your 4 open water dives and voila, you are now a certified scuba diver. We have Vidit with us who will tell us a little about his experience and how it all started. So Vidit, when was your first dive and what got you hooked to it? What does diving mean to you?
The first proper dive that I can remember was when I went to the Andamans. This was a personal sabbatical for myself. I went in with just a one-way ticket. I planned to do my open water course, my advanced, stretch it maybe till rescue. But yeah, my first dive was in the Andamans when I was actually doing the open water diver course. And yeah, you know, they just say that you'll probably know that you want to be a professional after your first dive or second dive. And actually I just knew it. Like right after the first dive, I was like, hey, this is something that I can definitely keep doing. I'm not going to get bored of it. This was in 2016. Yeah, not too far back, yeah.
Now, even before you arrive, the instructors make sure that everything is perfectly set up for the session. So where does certification fit into all this?
Right, so actually this is a very common question that we get. I'm going on a holiday, can I just go discover scuba diving because I don't need to set up my gear? There's someone who's taking care of me, my safety. I'm going to be taken to a nice dive site where I'm going to see a lot of fish. Why do I need to get certified? The difference is mostly in understanding what it feels like to drive as against being driven. Right? When you're an open water certified diver, you're certified to dive autonomously anywhere in the world. This license basically gives you the authority to be able to just get your tanks filled, get your equipment, rent your equipment, and go and dive anywhere in the world. When you're a discover scuba diver, you're actually restricted to shallow and sheltered dive sites. You don't really have a say in which dive sites you can go to. The instructors are mostly controlling your buoyancy and, you know, showing you the fish. You don't really get a sense of exploring things by yourself as much. And that's why people choose to get certified.
And well, how good can a training session be without some laughs and giggles? This, however, is genuine happiness coming from a brand new toolset and some O-rings. Not to mention, the pool owner also has 2 super friendly labs. The first part is a brief introduction, or call it an icebreaker section, where you get to know your fellow divers and the instructors. Your first session will begin with a floating test where the instructor will ask you to float for approximately 10 minutes in the deep end of the pool. The very first question that will pop in your mind is, do we need to have swimming skills before enrolling for this course? Let's ask our expert with it.
Strictly speaking, the swimming skills are not a prerequisite to enroll for a scuba certification course. You need to be able to float, definitely. Float or tread the waters for about approximately 10 minutes. Swimming skills or passing a 200-meter swim test is an exit requirement of the open water diver course. You know, I know in our country that we don't have a lot of strong swimmers. The idea is that you draw psychological comfort from being in the deep waters, and that's what helps you when you go scuba diving. What we do out here in the pool, we often get people who are not the best swimmers and who are really intimidated by the fact that they have to do a 200-meter swim. We tell them that you can also do a 300-meter snorkel to cover to basically meet the requirements of the test. And most often people are able to snorkel and finish 300 meters. That seems to be a lot more easy. And they're also, in the process, they're also able to like overcome their fear of being in deep waters.
Once you're done with the float test, your instructor will start briefing about the equipments and the basics of scuba diving. Every part of the scuba gear is explained in detail to get a good understanding of what exactly it does. And after that, you get a briefing on what is the right way to assemble your gear so that you have a fantastic dive. And don't worry, you are being carefully observed and examined on whether you are learning the right techniques from multiple angles and instructors. As part of learning, you are also assigned course material on SSI or PADI's website, which, if you have gone through, would greatly complement your learning in the pool sessions. Finally, you have the fully assembled and instructor verified scuba gear. Everything is clipped into the BCD to make sure there are no loose objects floating around which would get stuck or hit the delicate reefs and cause damage. Let's again ask our expert what's the most common mistake which students make while assembling the scuba gear.
The most common mistake while assembling the scuba gear? There's actually multiple mistakes. The most common mistake would be they probably leave something out. So yeah, the most common mistake is that people go about assembling their gear, but they forget the fact that they have to check their gear as well. It's like, hey, you love a car and you go to the showroom and be like, hey, listen, I love that car. You're not going to ask for them to like pack the car and send it home. You definitely want to test drive it. So the test driving aspect, which is basically checking your equipment, is people forget. And that's something that I really feel is important here.
Next, you wear a wetsuit, put on your mask and weight belt before getting ready to dive. After this, we have another short briefing on tasks to be accomplished underwater and how we'll communicate. After you get a good grip on how to assemble your gear, the instructor takes you to the shallow end of the pool where the actual training begins. Now there are right ways to even enter water with your gear. But worry not, all these will be taught to you in this course. Let's hear from Vidit about his experience and why learning in a pool makes for an easier or a slower learning curve than learning directly in the ocean.
I actually have a very interesting answer to that. I actually learned everything in the ocean, right? And there's no need to be intimidated because, a lot of holiday destinations across the world, the resorts may not be able to afford a pool. So they basically go and do it in a lagoon, like, in a shallow, sheltered place where there's a sand patch, you can kneel down. And the idea is to do it in a confined water body or a controlled environment. So that's, I would say it's equally as good as the pool. And, after doing all of this in the ocean, when I did come back to Bangalore and, a few months in the year, I'd teach in Bangalore, I would always think that, teaching someone in a pool is so tedious because then they have to go and get adapted to the ocean again. But now that I've been teaching continuously in Bangalore for over about a year or so, I actually can tell you that the pool is one of the instructor's best friends. And, I'm happy to just let them practice by themselves sometimes after I've taught them the basic skills, something that I can't do in the ocean. So the preference depends from instructor to instructor, but I personally feel that now that we teach in the pool, I'm able to give them a lot more time to practice by themselves, something that I couldn't do in the ocean.
Now, as humans, we can't really imagine breathing underwater. The first exercise tests how comfortable you are in water, and once completely underwater, how comfortably you can breathe from a regulator. Once the comfort is established, the next steps of the training follow. For all these, you have to preferably stay underwater during the entire course without feeling the need to come out. And the instructors, the dive masters, are always there quietly observing and making sure you are learning the right way of underwater diving. Now, once you are comfortably kneeling underwater, first the instructor will show you how to perform a skill and then ask you to do the same. Remember, diving is a buddy sport, and for a good reason. One of the most important skills is how to put your mask underwater in case it's removed accidentally. Here Arjun is demonstrating how to effectively do that. Once you have an idea, next is your turn to demonstrate the same skill. With Bangalore Scuba, the emphasis is more on training the individual in such a way that they can put it to good use and use those skills in underwater in case of an emergency. And because of that, once the instructor has confidence, they will give you more space and freedom to explore and learn things rather than rely on the instructors for everything. Well, now that you have learned the skills, the next big item on the checklist is learning how to be neutrally buoyant. Once you get a hang of neutral buoyancy, you get to take a few laps of the pool and self-analyze on what would be the best parameters as per your body to float effortlessly. Let's ask Vidit what neutral buoyancy is and why is it important in scuba diving.
There's a lot of reasons why people dive. The most common reason I find, and one of the reasons that I continue diving, is a feeling of weightlessness. Right? Is the closest feeling to being in outer space or being on another planet, right? When you're actually on the surface of the water, when you typically float, you're known to be positively buoyant, where you're displacing a lot of water. You displace as much water as your mass of body mass. And when you carry some weight with you, you're able to sink easily. And when you're completely at the bottom, it's called negatively buoyant. Being neither positive nor negative is called being weightless or being neutrally buoyant. Now that's the kind of feeling that you'd want to vie for throughout the dive. When you're neutrally buoyant, not only are you calm and you feel good and collected, you're also able to attract a lot of fish who are intrigued about this little creature who's just sort of pretending to be like them. Yeah.
Next demonstration is how to share air in case you run out of it, and how you and your buddy has to tackle that emergency. Once you're comfortable with the skills, the instructor takes you to slightly deep water to practice buoyancy and other skills. You must be wondering, what if we encounter sharks during our dives? Is it safe? Let's ask Vidit.
Finally, a lot of people actually have understood that it's really safe to dive with sharks. And I say this as recently I had a friend of mine who wanted to train with me. I grew up with him, and he's someone who I would look up to. He plays all the sports, and he would do really better than me at all the sports. And when I told him that, hey, listen, we're going to go to the Maldives, and the highlight's going to be, we're diving with sharks. He said, my mom wants to speak to you because she's scared and I'm scared too. And that's when I had to debunk the myth that sharks are not really interested in human beings. Most of the sharks are just curious creatures. And, when we're curious, we rely on tactile, touch to basically see if there's something safe or unsafe. Sharks don't have hands, so they basically try and bite to see if, there's something that's worth eating or worth sort of probing. So most of the shark bites have been accidents. By and large, they're not interested in humans. So I would say I would recommend all your viewers as well to not go by Hollywood or Bollywood movies and not to be afraid of sharks. In fact, people spend a lot of money to go and see sharks.
Another commonly asked question is, can I dive if I wear prescription glasses?
Yes, I would say if you can wear contact lenses, that will make your life easier. I wear contact lenses myself, and I've never lost a lens underwater. There's only one time I lost a lens, which is when I was fidgeting with my eye on the boat. But I know people are not always comfortable wearing lenses, so they have prescription masks for such people as well. You can always ask for a prescription mask when you go to a dive center, or you could basically invest in one yourself when you're a certified diver, and that should make a lot of difference.
Final lesson is how to clean and disassemble your equipment. A similar training regime is followed on day 2, post which you are ready for your open water dives. So that's the process of getting scuba certified within Bangalore. In case you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment, or you can contact Bangalore Scuba directly. I'll leave their details in the description box.